Okay, let's get started. We're holding Yezainim now off the Mishnah. Very Geshmaka Gemara. One detail to keep note of is, which is gonna push us to Chazer, is that it's a beautiful Gemara, but it builds. It builds, which sometimes is more Geshmak, but the issue is the Maila is the Chazarin, is that you have to keep track of everything going on over here. But this is where it's at. We've been discussing so many times, what schach passels, what schach doesn't passel, and we've been having these discussions, and we've kept on mentioning we're going to get there. We're finally there. How much space passels, and this is grada extremely relevant lemais also. This is when you look up and you're like, oh my, I have this big gap of no schach. Is that kosher? This. Yeah, all the schach. So we mentioned, we've touched upon these gemaras the last 2-3 blocks, and we kept on saying,
we'll get there.
How far from the wall? We kept saying we're going to get there. So,
sounds like people have found it.
We made it. Baruch Hashem. Zogt the Heilige Mishnah. Hirchik es hasikoch min hadefanois. We distance the schach from the walls. Shloisha tfachim. What's the halacha? If the schach is distanced from the walls 3 tfachim, psula. What does it mean that the schach are distanced from the wall? Rav Nachman Erev Tov. Just started. What does it mean that the schach are distanced from the wall 3 tvachim? It means just that. It means that there's an empty space between the schach and the wall. I would love to find the picture. Here it is. Here, Rabbi Yaakov's here. Baruch Hashem. Chaver, the sushi has a little bit of extra love in it, so enjoy it. Baruch Hashem. Here, the schach is distanced from the wall 3 tvachim. What does that mean? That means that there is an empty area of 3 tfachim between the schach and the wall. 3 tfachim. Says the Gemara.
Can I see the picture?
Psula.
There's an interesting Rashi here.
Let's get there in a moment. One second. I think I know what you're talking about. Let's get there in 1 minute. Bottom of page 55. No, hey.
Because we learned in the previous.
Yeah. Let's get everywhere. There's a lot. I'm telling you, everything is going to combine right now, which is beautiful. But at the same time, we have to take it slowly, or else we end up one big mess. From the moment it sounds like the whole sukkah is possible. But let's see. I don't want to say anything because we're learning a Mishnah now. So herchik es hasikoch min hadefanois shloisha tfachim psula. Sounds like the ganze sukkah is possible. I understand what everyone is asking. Let's just go a little bit further and let's get there. Case number 2 in the Mishnah should sound familiar. Bayis, a house shenivchas that was opened up. There was a hole in the middle of it. V'sikach al gabov, and you put schach on top of that hole. Im yesh min hakoisel, from the wall. L'sikach, to the schach in the middle. How far? Dalid amois, not gimel tvach. If you have dalid amois,
Say up to Dalid Amos.
oh, dalid amois is possible. Very good. We had the Gemara, and the Gemara taught us that Doif and Akuma is up to 4 amois. So up to 4 amois is possible. Case number 2. Let's pause for a moment. Why in case number 1 was it 3 tfachim? Why in case number 2 is it daled amois? Cause of avir. Now this is something fascinating. Avir means airspace. We would think, our feeble balabatish minds, what we would think? We would think, just like Doif and Akuma bends the wall, let it bend the wall if there's no schach. Clearly, for some reason, which is unbeknownst to us, and we have to learn more, if there's, 1 second, clearly, if there's an empty area, it breaks your Daifen Akuma. It breaks your Daifen Akuma. The reason, L'chaira, as Rashi says, is what? Why? L'chaira, just a very simple explanation is what? How do we look at Daifen Akuma? Let's just look at this again. And these Gemaras, it's very good to start very, very simple and then build. If I have in the middle of this room a hole, and I have schach on top of it, so we view that this wall and the ceiling bends over and hits my schach. That is how Daifen Akuma works. Because the wall and the ceiling bend to the schach. But if I have no ceiling, why do I have no ceiling? Because there's air. It can't bend. The wall can bend, but you're missing. And therefore, you have only up to 3 tfachim. Case 1, case 2. Case number 3 in the Mishnah. V'chein chatzir. We have a courtyard. Chav, you have a picture book over there? Let's get it open. Very important. Very important for the next case to understand. V'chein chatzir. Everyone, let's look at the picture book. It's on page 56. As they have? There you go.
Between the buildings.
There you go. V'chein chatzir. Shimukefes achsadra. It's surrounded by achsadra, or pavilions, or porches, which is just the area that the schach is lying on. And v'chein chatzir shimukefes achsadra, that's the whole case. And that case as well is up till Dalid Amos. And now one masked in is Sukkah Gedayla, a large Sukkah. Before we get to the last case, we all understand case number 3. Everyone together, we all see the picture of the Chatzar. I'm sorry, Avi, let me help you over there. In the Chatzar, over here, it's a beautiful Chatzar, as you can see. There's a shtickle porch matziv that is surrounding the Chatzar, and there's Chach on top of it. So the Nekuda is, again, you have up until Dalid Amos. Why? Simply because of Daifin Akuma. Very good. Excellent. And the last case in the Mishnah, so far we had Gimel Tfachim of Avir, of airspace fossils, Dalit Tfachim of your house, Dalit Tfachim in the, Dalit Amos in your house, Dalit Amos in your Chatzir, and the final case is Sukkah Gedayla, Shekifuha, Bidavar She'ein Misachachin Bay. A very interesting case. Look at the top picture on page 57. A Sukkah Gedayla, which is surrounded by something that you cannot use as schach. It's a sheet. You put a sheet up over the roof, and then in the middle, you place your schach. Sukkah Gedayla Shekifuha Bidavar She'ein Misachachin Bay. And Yesh Tachta of Dalit Amos, Psula. So we have 3 cases of Dalit Amos. We have the first case of Gimel Tfachim. One thing is clear.
In other words, if this was only 3 amas,
good, then it's kosher.
Even under
that's a new discussion. Very good. Let's point out that question. Very important point. All right, whenever we have our Daifin Akuma, for example, Dalit Amos is about 6 feet, 7 feet. From here all the way till, I don't know, probably on top of your head of Rum over there. So this whole area could be roof. Over there we have a skylight. We put schach there. Our sukkah is kosher. Why? Because it's one big bent wall. Can you sit under the wall? That's a very good question, which we have to get to, which is a fundamental question.
Is it considered psal?
Oh, is it considered psal? That's going to be the question. Yes, which is really in all of our cases, we have to ask always 2 questions. Really, 2 questions I have to ask always. We have to ask, number 1, is the sukkah kosher? Meaning, there's airspace of 4 tfachim, it's possible. There's a schach puzzle of 5 amos, it's possible. Number 2, even if it's kosher, where are you allowed to sit in this sukkah? Both of those are important questions.
What's the difference between the 2 cases? Between this one at the top here?
Very good. So it seems like in the Mishnah, if we were to break up the Mishnah, we have case A, that airspace is 3 tfachim. And then we have case B, which encompasses 3 cases of Dalit Amos. We have the skylight Dalit Amos, we have the porch Dalit Amos, and we have the schach puzzle Dalit Amos. And you just were machaving to the first question of the Gemara. Very nice. Says the Gemara, Kol Ani Lamali. Why do we need all these cases? Says the Gemara. So before we look at the Gemara, sometimes in these type of things, if we just open our minds a little bit, we'll understand what's going on. Let's think of these 3 cases, and let's think if we can think of any chalukim. Again, case A was our skylight. Case B is our chatzir. Case C is our schach puzzle. Can we think of any chalukim in these 3 cases? Anything different?
Case A is more permanent.
Case A is more permanent. Very good. You just were mechaving to point 1 of the Gemara, that it's a bias. Good. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? The other 2 are much harder. What? No, we had prior. Very good. We had that back in Daf Vav Zainos.
The walls created to.
So good. That's right. Kokas is saying very good. It's created to live in. So the other detail, we have to remind ourselves how houses were built, and the Gemara is going to say that in a second. Let's let the Gemara speak. Says the Gemara, Kol Hani Lamali. Says the Gemara, you know why we need all these cases? Sricha If we only said case A of the house that opened up, you know why in that case it's puzzle if it's for Amois? Mishom dehani mechitzos. These hani mechitzos, these walls, lebayis avidan, were created for a house. Aval, however, chutzer. The case number 2, which is our courtyard, amukefes achsadra, which is surrounded by these porch areas, which the schach are laying on top of them. Temechitzois lav lachsadra avida. What were the mechitzos made for? Not for the chsadra. Again, everyone look at this case. Everyone look together at the case of the chatzar, okay? In this case, again, the chsadra is this area over here. Nope, there's the area over here. This is an achsadra. The porch is the achsadra. So the porch, again, the porch is the achsadra. So why were the mechitzos of the house made? They were made not for the achsadra. The achsadra is on the top. Again, envision you have hanging over a porch, right? So underneath that porch, that wall was made for what? For underneath. It wasn't made for the top. In case A, when I have a bias, why were these walls created? It was created for the roof. Bias was created for those mechitzos. But a chatzar, mukefes, achsadra, it's two different areas. Again, it sounds very complicated. So they all know shechus l'sukkah. That's true, but we're trying to explain the difference in the two cases. Just again, it sounds very complicated. It's very simple. An achsadra is a porch. A porch is meant to be on top of. A ceiling is meant to be underneath it. So that's the difference between case A and case B. Case A is a ceiling with a hole in it. I put chanei gavaldik, so I have my doiv akuma. Case B is a porch that surrounded my three-walled cul-de-sac. I'm sure there are places that have these things. You just throw your schach on top of. That's case B. Says the Gemara. So that is true. So the schach would have to be put up for sukkahs, 100%. 100%. I agree with you. The walls are there year round, and a lot of it is. So says the Gemara, are made for the house. When it comes to the courtyard, that is surrounded by these porches. The mechitzos are not made for the achsadra, not made for the porches. Emaloi, I would think that it doesn't work. Sricha. So we need both cases. Let's say the Mishnah just said these two cases. You know what I would have thought? Mishon dischachan schach kosher. But what's schach kosher? This roof, no. That's always schach kosher. But the third case is also schach kosher. The roof, be'etzem, is schach kosher. Because every roof is schach kosher. Because their roofs were what? We learned this. We're wooden planks.
Right, but the planks are.
It's true. But be'etzem, it's a schach kosher. It just wasn't made.
This one looks like granite.
That one looks like. Yeah, Taka. We did a bad job with the picture.
Yeah.
1 second. Let's see if this guy got it better.
It also looks like sheetrock. It's like, you know,
Yeah, masking. I'm masking with everyone over here.
We're going to email
Feldheim.
Yeah, okay. So here we go. We have a phone number here. 71843.
Yeah. Oh, they have an American number, actually. Usually they only put an Israeli number that you can never get through to.
Please.
Oh, yeah, I have to check the other book. I have the other book at home. I've checked the other book. Let's just read it together, Chavro. Case number 3. That's why we have all 3 cases.
Wait, so just write this.
Then, but you wouldn't know the other way.
You wouldn't know the walls.
Yeah, you wouldn't know the other way.
So
Good.
just write this and this.
Just write
this and this.
3 and 2.
Yeah.
3 and 2, you have both chedushim.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have case 1. It's good. So you're asking a very good question. Very often Gemaras, it's funny to know why sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes Gemara plays out all the math. This is the type of thing you open up like a Rashva and a Ritva, he'll play out the math for us. And I'll ask that type of kasha. But it's a good point. Why the Gemara doesn't.
Would there be a difference for the middle case, the Achsadra, if it was an awning, not a porch? Because
100%. Because then it's made for the bottom.
Right.
Then it would be the exact same thing as the bias.
Then it would be like the last one.
Well, depending on the material.
Okay, right on.
Correct.
But all cases are good.
Correct. Now, I'll tell you where we're going to stop here. First of all, because we have to get back into Chazar, but also the next Gemara is going to hone in on the other part of the Mishnah. So I want to speak it outside. Then for 3 minutes, I think it's kedai for the Eilim to read through the Gemara because it's mamish going to build from here. We have to remember, we discussed today part B of the Mishnah. What's part B of the Mishnah? Part B is that if I have schach puzzle, a ceiling, a porch, or schach puzzle, it puzzles once it's 4 amos. Why? Doifen akuma. If I have airspace, all of a sudden it puzzles with 3 tfachim. Now that's very odd. And why is $1 amos? Why is 1 3 tfachim? That is going to be the next Gemara, is going to be trying to figure out why in the world is $1 amos 1 gimel tfachim. Let's read through the top Gemara for 2 minutes. Tomayriv. So we have a klar. That one is. So why avir puzzle? Don't you also get the thing? So we explained that it's a alumnus that one you can't say dofen akum if there's avir. The question is why, and that's mamish going to be the next Gemara, which is a little bit tedious. But let's make sure we have klar the first Gemara.
If there's nothing there.
So what? Again, where does Dalet Amos come from? Dalet Amos, we're allowing things to happen that aren't real. So let it happen there also. We're going to see. Good. I like everything everyone's saying is very good. That's going to be tomorrow's Gemara. Siyat Shmaya. Let's take 2 minutes to read it over. Yes?
How does this influence